which was at the same time public and secret, sprang the Society of the Rights of Man, which also dated from one of the orders of the day, Pluviose, year 40 of the Republican era, which was destined to survive even the mandate of the Court of Assizes, which pronounced its dissolution, and which did not hesitate to bestow on its sections significant names like the following: Pikes, Tocsin, Signal Cannon, Phrygian Cap, January 21, the Beggars, the Vagabonds, Forward March, Robespierre, Level, Ça ira. The Society of the Rights of Man engendered the Society of Action. These were impatient individuals who broke away and hastened ahead. Other associations sought to recruit themselves from the great mother societies. The members of sections complained that they were torn asunder. Thus the Gallic Society and the Committee of Organization of the Municipalities. Thus the associations for the liberty of the press, for individual liberty, for the instruction of the people against indirect taxes. Then the Society of Equal Working Men, which was divided into three fractions: the Levellers, the Communists, the Reformers. Then the Army of the Bastilles, a sort of cohort organized on a military footing, 4 men commanded by a corporal, 10 by a sergeant, 20 by a sub-lieutenant, 40 by a lieutenant. There were never more than 5 men who knew each other. Creation where precaution is combined with audacity, and which seems stamped with the genius of Venus. The Central Committee, which was at the head, had 2 arms: the Society of Action and the Army of the Bastille. A legitimist association, the Chevaliers of Fidelity, stirred about among these the republican affiliations. It was denounced and repudiated there. The Parisian societies had ramifications in the principal cities: Lyons, Nantes, Lille, Marseille, and each had its Society of the Rights of Man, the Charbonnières, and the Free Men. All had a revolutionary society which was called the Cougourde. We have already mentioned this word. In Paris, the Faubourg Saint-Marceau kept up an equal buzzing with the Faubourg Saint-Antoine, and the schools were no less moved than the faubourgs. A café in the Rue Saint-Hyacinthe and the wine shop of the 7 Billiards, Rue des Mathurins Saint-Jacques, served as rallying points for the students. The Society of the Friends of the A.B.C. affiliated to the Mutualists of Angers and to the Cougourde of Aix met, as we have seen, in the Café Musain. These same young men assembled also, as we have stated already, in a restaurant wine shop of the Rue Mondétour, which was called Corinthe. These meetings were secret. Others were as public as possible, and the reader can judge of their boldness from these fragments of an interrogatory undergone in one of the ulterior prosecutions. Where was this meeting held? In the Rue de la Paix. At whose house? In the street. What sections were there? Only one. Which? The manual section. Who was its leader? I. But you are too young to have decided alone upon the bold course of attacking the government. Where did your instructions come from? From the Central Committee. The army was mined at the same time as the population, as was proved subsequently by the operations of Béford, Luneville, and Épinard. They counted on the 52nd Regiment, on the 5th, on the 8th, on the 37th, and on the 20th Light Cavalry. In Burgundy and in the southern towns they planted the Liberty Tree, that is to say, a pole surmounted by a red cap. Such was the situation. The Faubourg Saint-Antoine, more than any other group of the population, as we have stated in the beginning, accentuated this situation and made it felt. That was the sore point. This old faubourg, peopled like an ant hill, laborious, courageous, and angry as a hive of bees, was quivering with expectation and with the desire for a tumult. Everything was in a state of agitation there, without any interruption, however, of the regular work. It is impossible to convey an idea of this lively yet sombre physiognomy. In this faubourg exists poignant distress hidden under attic roofs. There also exist rare and ardent minds. It is particularly in the matter of distress and intelligence that it is dangerous to have extremes meet. The Faubourg Saint-Antoine had also other causes to tremble, for it received the countershock of commercial crises, of failures, strikes, slack seasons, all inherent to great political disturbances. In times of revolution, misery is both cause and effect. The blow which it deals rebounds upon it. This population full of proud virtue, capable of the highest degree of latent heat, always ready to fly to arms, prompt to explode, irritated, deep, undermined, seemed to be only awaiting the fall of a spark. Whenever certain sparks float on the horizon chased by the wind of events, it is impossible not to think of the Faubourg Saint-Antoine and of the formidable chance which has placed at the very gates of Paris that powder house of suffering and ideas. The wine shops of the Faubourg Antoine, which have been more than once drawn in the sketches which the reader has just perused, possess historical notoriety. In troublous times people grow intoxicated there more on words than on wine. A sort of prophetic spirit and an afflatus of the future circulates there, swelling hearts and enlarging souls. The cabarets of the Faubourg Saint-Antoine resemble those taverns of Mont Aventine, erected on the cave of the Sibyl, and communicating with a profound and sacred breath, taverns where the tables were almost tripods, and where was drunk what Ennius calls the Sibylline wine. The Faubourg Saint-Antoine is a reservoir of people. Revolutionary agitations create fissures there, through which trickles the popular sovereignty. This sovereignty may do evil. It can be mistaken like any other, but even when led astray, it remains great. We may say of it as of the blind Cyclops, ingens. In '93, according as the idea which was floated about was good or evil, according as it was the day of fanaticism or of enthusiasm, there leaped forth from the Faubourg Saint-Antoine now savage legions, now heroic bands. Savage. Let us explain this word. When these bristling men, who in the early days of the revolutionary chaos, tattered, howling, wild, with uplifted bludgeon, pike on high, hurled themselves upon ancient Paris in an uproar, what did they want? They wanted an end to oppression, an end to tyranny, an end to the sword, work for men, instruction for the child, social sweetness for the woman, liberty, equality, fraternity, bread for all, the idea for all, the Edenizing of the world, progress, and that holy, sweet, and good thing, progress, they claimed in terrible wise, driven by extremities as they were, half naked, club in fist, a roar in their mouths. They were savages, yes, but the savages of civilization. They proclaimed right furiously. They were desirous, if only with fear and trembling, to force the human race to paradise. They seemed barbarians, and they were saviors. They demanded light with the mask of night. Facing these men, who were ferocious, we admit, and terrifying, but ferocious and terrifying for good ends, there are other men, smiling, embroidered, gilded, beribboned, starred, in silk stockings, in white plumes, in yellow gloves, in varnished